To all the non-believers, 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 non-believers. I'm making non-believers say, oh.
What's up, y'all? This is Jay Varsity, and welcome to episode 107 of NBA Talk Playoff Edition. And I know I just got off yesterday talking about how I would laugh if I saw the Boston Celtics lose Game 6. But if I knew anything that we were gonna have the game like we had last night, man, I don't know what I would have I don't know what, man. I think we just saw one of the best games of the year, man. Like seriously, that was by far the best game of the playoffs, like hands down. That was by far, hands down, the best game of the playoffs. At first, it looked like Boston had all the momentum to just take out Toronto in Game 6. They were up 12, and they were dominating. They were getting their open threes. Toronto looked like they didn't know what to do, and then they made the strongest adjustments coming into the second quarter. And Nick Nurse, I gotta give this man some credit. This man got balls for a coach. He really do trust it. He trusts his players to the end. He let this lineup play more than 40 minutes. After Kyle Lowry played 53 minutes tonight. Then the second half, Toronto Toronto fights back and even takes what I think as close to a 6 or 7 point lead. Boston comes right back, and then that fourth quarter, they were just bombing. They were just straight bombing. Pascal Siakam to me was straight. He was still ass to me last night, but he came through with that mid-range shot in double overtime. Norman Powell was the key to the win in Game 6 because he hit big three after big three last night. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they was just knocking them threes down, bro. And I am so shocked. And I'm so shocked at Kemba Walker. I understand Toronto has played the best of defense that I've seen on Kemba Walker in a playoff series. Because this man played 53 minutes and only got 2 buckets that equal to 5 points. Like, this man, when I saw this dude hit that step back over OG Anunoby, I was like, damn, that UConn Kemba is gonna be coming in now. And I don't know what happened. Boston had this one in the bag. I'm not going to lie. They had this in the bag. Boston had this one in the bag, and it just slipped out of their hands. This one slipped right out of their hands, man. It really did. Because Jason Tatum, he got butterfingers towards the end of each overtime. He got butterfingers in the end of the fourth quarter. Kyle Lowry was just a master of swiping the ball down and getting steals because every time, and I swear every time I saw somebody trying to shoot a fade, Kyle Lowry's putting his hand down and he gets a clean strip. I'm like, dude, this man Lowry's on a mission. This man Kyle Lowry's on a mission. He do not want to go out in a Game 6. He wants a Game 7. And to me, this is Boston's worst case scenario. To go into a Game 7 after you just went into a double overtime Game 6. After you just lost a double overtime Game 6, and you saw the emotion in their faces. That's the competitive emotion that they have, because look at how they got at the end of the game. The little confrontation that they had. That's the competition. Don't take anything else out of that, because that was them playing basketball. I'm happy to say the referees let these guys play. Now, there were like two questionable calls. But other than that, this was an amazing game. I was amazed at this game. I'm not a fan of either Boston or Toronto, but I have to say that was one of the best games I've seen so far in this bubble. And if you don't think so, I want you please comment your answer. And I think this was even better than Game 7 between Utah and Denver. Like that was insane. That was absolutely insane. At one point, they were just exchanging 3-point bombs. I'm like, you had Jaylen Brown hitting a three, then you got Kyle Lowry hitting a three. You got Jason Tatum hitting a three. You got OG Anunoby hitting a three. To me, I appreciate the move by Nick Nurse to put OG Anunoby at the 5 because he was just killing it on the boards, and it really showed that Boston was struggling to get offensive boards, and that was the key to Toronto winning because it gave them those extra possessions to be able to tie or win the game. They got put in perfect positions at that point in time, and Boston just. The moment got to them. I really do feel like the moment got to Boston. The pressure was on. I think the pressure really got on Jason Tatum because Jason Tatum was feeling every double team on planet Earth. He knows that Kemba was getting locked down. He knows that he was struggling, and then Tatum every time he had the ball. If you literally paid attention to the game, every time Tatum drived. It was either OG and Siakam or Kyle Lowry or Norman Powell or even Fred VanVleet got in on the action. Either way, he was getting double teamed every time. He was getting double teamed on every possession. And that was just the one thing that I noticed. And for Game 7, if the Toronto Raptors do that same game plan against Kemba Walker, all the pressure to me is going to be on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, Game 7 is going to rely on, are you going to show up? Are you going to show up in a Game 7 against the reigning, defending NBA champions? Like, that's literally the key. Jason Tatum is literally the key to win Game 7. Because the way if he saw how they were defending him, there could have been ways that he could have attacked that defense a lot better. He could have found teammates. But like I said again, Game 6, the man just had butterfingers. The man was just committing turnover after turnover. And give credit to Toronto. They are very disciplined defensive team. They are a very good and disciplined defensive team. They know exactly when to time their steals. They know exactly when to time their blocks. They play great defense as a team as a whole. And Boston, they let Toronto get into a set defense. You're asking to waste most of the shot clock trying to get a shot. Boston couldn't get that transition offense like they did before because they're basically keyed in on that transition. They were just locked in on that transition defense because that's why they had so many problems. And then Toronto and then Brad Stevens, I believe this is the one time as a coach that he just trusted his players to win the game. He just didn't know what to do at that point. He's just like, what do I come up with? Because every time he drew up something, Toronto had a response. They had a response, and Nick Nurse trusted his players. He played the same lineup for 2 overtimes. He played the same lineup for 2 overtimes. And like I said, the key to Toronto's win was Norman Powell. As great as Kyle Lowry played, and he played amazing. That Toronto team played amazing. The only person that disappointed me was Pascal Siakam. He kept settling for shots, and that's what Boston wants him to do, and he keeps falling for that. And if he doesn't fall for that, if he just took a mid-range shot, like if he just took mid-range shots because he's struggling from the 3, I think we're talking that Toronto might is going to move on to the conference finals. But if he keeps settling for those 3-pointers, the way he's been struggling in this series, Toronto is going to go home. Plain and simple. But like I said, this is a worst case scenario. And if you're a Boston Celtics fan, you got to be a little nervous. You got to be a little nervous going into a Game 7 after you just lost a double overtime Game 6. Do you think Jason Tatum is gonna be that guy that's gonna take you home? Because you see how they're defending Kemba Walker and how they defended Jaylen Brown in that second half. They keyed in on everybody, and they are guaranteed to make sure that they double Jason Tatum on every drive. So to me, Jason Tatum's got to be the key. As much as you want to try to get everybody involved, Marcus Smart, guys like Marcus Smart, they're gonna when it comes to a Game 7, they're gonna be honed in on defense. They're gonna be locked in on defense, and Toronto's gonna come and expect a tough, scrappy Game 7. So yeah, to me, all the pressure is on Boston. All of the pressure is on the Celtics in this Game 7. You went up 2-0 against the Raptors. You went up 2-0. You gave Toronto life when they won Game 3 from the buzzer. They decimated you in Game 4. You decimated Toronto in Game 5, and then you lose a double overtime Game 6 against them when you had at one point a 12-point lead and almost had this one in the bag. You had this series practically in the bag when you had that 12-point lead. But then you got complacent. You made unforced turnovers, some of them, and then a lot of them were forced. And then you gave Toronto life again. And now you're going into a Game 7 against the reigning defending NBA champions. And I don't like your odds. I do not like your odds. So a comment down below who you think will win Game 7 between the Celtics and the Raptors. I'm giving the edge to the Raptors. They have all the momentum now in this series. They got the momentum. I think the confidence in the Celtics really just died down after Game 6. They really do not want to play a Game 7, and you can see it in their faces. These guys, obviously the Raptors players too, these guys were freaking exhausted. Like, so to me, I think Kyle Lowry's gonna step up big. I think Norman Powell is gonna have a good game. I think OG's gonna have a good game. I think, and on the Celtics side, I think Jaylen Brown's gonna step up. I think the moment that's gonna be too big I don't think this is gonna be the biggest game of Kemba Walker's career. This is the biggest game of Kemba Walker's career. This is the biggest game of Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum's career. Because if they lose this Game 7, they miss out a chance of going to the conference finals. And to me, that would be such a missed opportunity because you wouldn't have to have played the Milwaukee Bucks. Although I wouldn't say your chances are slightly better when you're playing against Miami because Miami has given you the smoke this season. But in worst case scenario, you didn't have to play the Bucks. This was your golden opportunity to make the finals, and if you lose Game 7, this was a golden opportunity missed. So like I said, comment down below who's gonna win Game 7. Now, and then on to the next game. But let's get on to some topics that I read about yesterday on Instagram. This whole thing. Now I'm hearing that the Los Angeles Clippers are trying to pursue Giannis. Are you absolutely kidding me? You're willing to clean house. You like this is what's really about to happen, all right? They are really gonna try to risk that in 2021. They're basically gonna clean house. They're gonna get rid of the majority of these guys are gonna be gone, and they're gonna go after Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're trying to form a super team. Like they're really trying to form. Like they know Paul George is gone if they try to do that, right? You want to try to team up Giannis and Kawhi? And I thought the Golden State rumors were hilarious. I thought the Golden State rumors were hilarious. You have got to be kidding me. Get out of my face with that BS. Get out of my face with that BS. The fact that the Clippers even came up with that idea is just beyond me. Like, are you kidding me right now? Are you really kidding me right now? You know that is not happening. Not for nothing in the world. So, again, just like I said, the Warriors, they could quit dreaming about having Giannis. Clippers could do the same thing. Y'all can stop dreaming about having Giannis. Because I doubt you're going to clean half your roster. You're going to get rid of... You're probably going to get rid of Paul George, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Patrick Beverly, and probably a first-round pick just to get Giannis. That's not happening. And then even if you do get Giannis, Marcus Morris ain't going to be there. Half your roster ain't going to be there. Your roster's going to be depleted like all hell. So, I know Steve Ballmer is not that stupid. I know he ain't that stupid. He's not going to try to pull off a trade for Giannis. And first of all, Giannis said himself, he ain't getting traded. And like I said, you can't trust superstars when they say stuff like that. You can't trust superstars when they say that they don't want to get traded. But at the same time, I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be that dumb to pair up Giannis with Kawhi Leonard. I don't think so. I highly doubt that. But on to the game last night between the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. Look, the Clippers, they won this game on defense. The Clippers won this game on defense. Every time the Clippers get a chance to set their defense, it's going to be a rough night for you. It's going to be a rough night for you. And Denver, and Michael Porter Jr. said it first. He said, if you don't have constant ball movement against a team like this, you're gonna have a tough load of trouble. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic need to work. They need to work as one. They need to work as one and get other people involved, because the way they're playing right now, they're relying a whole lot on Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic can only do so much. Jamal Murray was straight going God mode against Utah, and then all of a sudden, he's turned completely stagnant against this Clippers team. He played great in game 2, so I don't understand what happened to him, man. I don't know what happened to him after that, but maybe his body is taking a physical toll after a 7-game series against Utah, and then the first 3 games against the Clippers. But to me, Michael Porter Jr. hit it right on the money. There's gotta be an insane amount of ball movement in order for you to beat this Clippers team. It has to be. You gotta attack this Clippers team with ball movement, and that's in a similar way of how Miami beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They had constant off-ball movement, and that's why the Bucks were never able to have such a set defense. You can't allow a team like the Clippers to have a set defense. And on the Clippers standpoint, that's an advantage for you whenever you get to set your defense. And on the offensive end, when you get Paul George in foul trouble and you still get a good game out of Kawhi, that against a team like Denver, that's a win for you any day. That's a win for you any day. Kawhi Leonard has just been on a mission so far. And I want to make one thing clear. My problem with the Clippers is how the media portrays them. The media portrays the Clippers like they're already the defending champions. Like they just gave them the crown of being the NBA champions, and to me that hasn't been right. You gotta earn the NBA title first before you could get that kind of treatment. Like again, I no disrespect. When you got networks like ESPN and FS1, or even other sports YouTube pages or anything like that, portraying the Clippers to already be, they treat them like they're already the defending NBA champions. Like they haven't won the title. Like they haven't won the title that they're giving all this opportunity and so many passes. Like they gotta earn the thing first. But it's not that I hate the Clippers, and I do not hate Kawhi. Paul George, I got mixed feelings of. Paul George, I got mixed feelings of because, to me, the man switches teams every time he can't succeed. The man switches teams. The man has switched teams every time he comes up short. Like Paul George is a whole nother feeling for me. I like Paul George and I don't like him at the same time. When he's having a good game, he's all he's smiling, laughing, talking all this trash and everything, and then he's quiet as a mouse the moment he has a bad game. Now, granted, he did get into foul trouble in this game 4. He did get into foul trouble, and that has been a problem with this Clippers team. That's one thing that I've really paid attention to. This Clippers team has been getting into a lot of foul trouble. And then when you're prepared to play a team like the Lakers in the conference finals, granted the Lakers take a 3-1 granted that the Lakers take a 3-1 lead against the Rockets tonight. If your aspirations, you got your main threat, and I'm talking your main threat now, is to beat the Lakers to get to the championship, this is your ultimate window. This is the Clippers' ultimate window to winning a title. Because literally the Lakers are the last contending team. Now, granted, Miami will probably give you a run for your money if you manage to see them in the finals. But do I think the Miami Heat will have what it takes to win it all? We would have to see it to believe it. We would have to see it to believe it. We just got to see who comes out of the East. We got to see who comes out of the East. And if the Clippers, the way they get into foul trouble so easily, that's going to be a problem against a team like the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers will thrive if certain players on the Clippers are in foul trouble. One being Patrick Beverley. If you got guys like Patrick Beverley and Paul George being in foul trouble, that's already a problem. That is already a problem. And Marcus Morris tends to get into foul trouble as well whenever he plays against the Lakers. So my response to that is, and like I said, a set defense is what's gonna give you problems against the Clippers. The Lakers, they thrive in transition. And then unlike Denver, their transition offense is somewhat sus because they somewhat look like they don't know what to do with the ball. The Lakers, if they're in transition and they're on a break, you know who the ball's going to go to. It's either going to go to LeBron or it's going to go to AD, or it's probably going to go to Danny Green wide open for a 3. Will he make it is what will determine it. But to me, Paul George cannot have a stinker. He cannot have a stinker for the rest of the playoffs. He cannot have a stinker for the rest of the playoffs. So to me, I still got the Lakers over the Clippers in the conference finals. I still got the Lakers over the Clippers. LeBron is my guy. I am a LeBron fan, but I do like Kawhi Leonard, and I love it when these two battle. I love it when I see these two battle. Because to me, it's the polar opposites. It's two polar opposites when Kawhi and LeBron are playing against each other. It's almost like when LeBron plays KD. It's two polar opposites. You got a guy like LeBron who wants to get his teammates involved. He wants to pass first and all that. But then come playoff time, he'll become this insane scorer. Plus he'll find his teammates also. But Kawhi is strictly on a mission. He just wants to score. He just wants to put points on your head. He wants to put points on your head and lock you down the other end. And that's, to me, what I love about this. The intensity is going to be insane because the Clippers are going to finish off Denver. They're going to finish them off. And if the Lakers go up 3-1 tonight, they're going to finish off the Rockets. So, to me, we're going to have the Battle of LA in the Western Conference Finals like we've always wanted. And I still got the Lakers. I still got the Lakers as a favorite to beat the Clippers. I still favor the Lakers over the Clippers. Now, if you disagree with me, that's your opinion. Everybody's been picking sides between the Lakers and the Clippers. A lot of people going with the Clippers because of their bench. I don't blame you. A lot of people going with the Lakers because the Clippers don't have an answer for AD. I don't blame you. And to me, I'm still gonna pick the Lakers. I'm just gonna pick the Lakers. I'm just being that blunt. We have to see this conference finals to believe it, and I believe it's gonna have the highest viewership because of the fact that it's gonna be the two LA teams. I'm not gonna give my prediction because obviously both of their series are not over yet. So you'll hear my prediction once we actually get to the conference finals. Anyway, that's it. That's all for today's episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell if you like NBA content. This is your boy Jay Varsity, and I'm out. Peace.
We got some non-believers out there.
Make believers out of non-believers. Make believers out the